roots of recurring suffering.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Today, we're going to talk about why we keep cycling through suffering and how we can truly find freedom from pain and experience lasting happiness. This sounds particularly interesting, so let's jump right in. First, I want to ask a question. Why is it so essential to cite scriptures and state that a certain principle comes from a specific Buddhist sutra when discussing these teachings? Because, as the disciples mentioned, if you don't have classical scriptural backing, it's hard to convince people. But if you say it comes directly from Buddhist scriptures, people will then feel it's credible. Not so. Why is it that if the mind is too fixated on purity, it cannot generate compassion and the vow to liberate sentient beings? The master had an analogy for this, didn't he? He said that soil that is too clean cannot grow lotus flowers. That's right. Your fixation on purity is somewhat similar to what the disciples asked about. The dry wisdom ground in the Surangama Sutra. If you only remain in your own purity, you can't truly pity the suffering of sentient beings, nor would you want to act to liberate them. So, why is it so difficult to generate a vast aspiration? Like that of Shakyamuni Buddha, the master had an analogy for this as well. He said that sentient beings prefer very small pleasures, like eating seeds. But after you eat these seeds, the fruits that bear are all suffering. However, they just don't believe you. You tell them there's suffering later, but they only believe their own immediate feelings. So, they're like a large maggot in a cesspool. They feel very comfortable and don't want to come out. So, how can we be liberated from this endless suffering? The key still lies in our mode of thinking. The root of your afflictions is precisely because your thinking is confused. When your thinking is confused, you will perceive the causes of suffering as pleasure. For example, you might think eating, drinking, and entertainment are pleasures, but in reality, they are the causes of suffering. However, if you can use the medicine of right view to counteract your incorrect views, your thinking will gradually become clear. You will then see what true happiness is. So, how can we attain enlightenment? You need to continuously cultivate right view through consistent immersion. If you can maintain this right view continuously, you can see results in as little as 21 days. And if you can't maintain it continuously, you should still commit to a fixed time each day to practice. Slowly but surely, your way of thinking will completely transform. You'll be able to experience the eternal bliss that you inherently possess, and you'll no longer chase after these false causes of suffering. Today, we've talked a lot about how our own mistaken ways of thinking cause us to continually cycle through suffering. We also discussed how we can gain freedom from suffering and attain happiness through the cultivation of right views, ultimately achieving enlightenment. That's all for this podcast episode. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.